Hi everyone. Old Hippie, welcome. It's just a little chat between friends because I was listening to talk about the very important California primaries today. And I just wanted to spend a little bit of time with you because California, I believe it's about just coming up to 10 a.m. with you. And I would like to help you with your vote, not tell you how to vote, but just give you some detail, some information, some context, and also invite anybody in the chat who is either in California or knowledgeable about the situation in California, or perhaps you had a similar situation in your primaries and you went the right way or you went the wrong way. And those are judgment terms, I know. But which direction you went and how that turned out, and which direction you might advise Californians to go when they go to these all important primaries. And I have to do a little bit of a caveat before we kick off. I was listening to Don Lemon in the car on the way to pick up my child from school, who's an hour away. So I was listening to that, and it became clear to me that this is even bigger than I thought. I know the California primaries are important because I know the governor of California is a really important role, and it's a massive budget, size of a small country, and there's lots of things that need doing in California. And I know that a lot of Californians are have genuine grievances that they would really like addressing. Please, thank you, if you don't mind. And also that they are going to run up against the Washington machine, which is not terribly friendly at the moment to Californian. Oops, historically. So all that is part of the context. And then we've got the reality TV angle, because we've always got the reality TV angle. And I just felt like if I'd got an hour just to share with you, chatting and giving some real facts and information, then that might be helpful when people are casting their votes, because it really matters. There's a lot we can't do anything about. There's even more that I can't do anything about here in the UK. But what I can do is I can research, I can present case studies, I can put the case for going one way or another way and give you some information so you can be informed voters and you can do your part in protecting democracy and making sure that what you get is as close to what you thought you were voting for as it can possibly be. So yeah, I've been writing this in the car, researching it with the help of my beautiful 12-year-old assistant. He's been terribly helpful. And then we had to swing by the supermarket just to make sure that he was well stocked on snacks, and had a chat with a very nice lady who had fallen on hard times. So just because, my history is one of alcoholism, and I could have easily been where she was. So we just had a little chat. I gave her some of my time so that she knew she was a valued human being. Asked her what I could get her to keep her going, and just found out a little bit about her life. And it was really interesting. Similar age to me, two children, similar ages apart, two boys, there but by the grace of God go I. And it was really nice to be able to spend some time with Stacey, making her feel like a human being, giving her a small financial contribution by way of she just wanted some donuts. She had a sandwich. She was fine. She said, I'd really love some donuts, please. So we got her some donuts, and just made her feel like she mattered. And that was really important to me. And she's got a place in a hostel that's coming up very, very soon. And she's working on her addiction issues. She's getting the right medical interventions. And I think, oops, Who's trying to ring me? Oh, that's my niece trying to ring me. 1 second. Hey, honey, I'm just doing a live show at the moment with my American friends.
Oh wow, hello American friends.
Yeah.
Okay, I will let you go. That's no worries.
All right, sweetie, I'll call you back when I finish, okay?
It's okay. I have an interview in like 15 minutes and I just need some last minute 5 minute bang 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 bang. But it's literally okay, don't worry. But I'll be in the interview until like 8 or something. So I'll speak to you after and let you know how it goes.
Everybody in the chat, can you please write messages that I can screenshot to Paris to wish her good luck in her interview? I would really appreciate it. We will have Paris on the show at some point because she's just an awesome person and she can help give more weight to the conversation we had yesterday about race in the UK in particular, being a person of mixed race. She's got a perspective that's very different from mine, so it would be lovely to have her on sometime.
I would absolutely love to be on sometime. Thank you so much. I'll let you get back to it, but have a great show and I'll talk to you later.
Thank you, Paris. Take care.
Take care. Bye.
Bye. Thank you so much. We've got Stacey from California. Awesome. So, yes, apologies for that little interruption, but she's my only niece and, she might need something urgently. Not that this isn't urgent. This is very important. So I'm just going to take a screenshot of your good luck wishes. Thank you so much. She's awesome. And she's my best little girl because, as you know, I've just got boys. So she's my daughter, really. My sister knows, which she's fine with it. So let's get cracking then. Welcome all the newcomers. Yeah, exactly, Tracy. Family is everything. And we're a sort of family. We're a non-biological family because we care about each other. We want the best for each other and we want to try and help lift each other up. That's what we're all about at the Midnight Cafe. So welcome everyone to the Midday Cafe. Welcome Stacey from California in particular, because you're who I had in mind when I decided to do this last minute live today. Not you specifically, Stacey. I don't know you. That would be ridiculous. But people who have a say in what's happening in California. So I won't have all the answers. As I say, I was researching this on the hoof on the way back from school, driving my kid via the supermarket and all that lovely stuff. But I've got some information. I've got some case studies that I find interesting to share with you. And hopefully this might be something that even if you know what you're doing and you know why you're doing it, you might have people in your life that aren't so sure and might be persuaded by a very charismatic influencer without knowing if you agree with what they stand for. And that's all we want here. We want to give you the receipts so that you can make an informed decision. And I will put the show notes up with the live video so anybody can access it, not just for the paid subscribers. So all the receipts will be there because there might be some useful information. Alrighty. Hey Gina, welcome. I get that people have jobs and it's job time in the UK, in the US. It's 6 p.m. here in the UK. So let's get started. As I say, I don't know exactly where you all are, so I don't know exactly what the time is, but I do know this, that for one day only, the Midnight Cafe is the Midday Cafe and it is open. Welcome, James. Thank you, Laura, for letting us know. If you are driving, please don't communicate. You can always come back to this video if you find some of the things that we talk about interesting, but I would like to invite anybody with any information, any facts, any personal experience. Thank you, Tracy Giddings. It is 12:07 in Missouri. Welcome to everybody in Missouri. And anywhere else you might be in the US or around the world. If you have got something useful that you know about the California primaries that you can share with the whole class, please put it in the chat and I will keep as close an eye on the chat as I possibly can so that I can share it so that it's also there in the video when that posts. Okay, so we've got all different time zones. We've got people joining in the morning, and you're who I'm talking to. We've got people joining in at lunchtime, and that's perfect because it's the Midday Cafe, and you've got me over here at 6 o'clock. My day is mostly done, but this felt important, so let's go. Do get yourselves comfortable. You know the drill. Pull up your comfy chair or your bean bag. Get your adult beverage. Although, if you're in California and it's 10 a.m., it might be a little early for your adult beverage. I'm going to push it and say, even if it's lunchtime, you still maybe need to think about how many of those adult beverages you have. You might want to stick to a nice cup of tea or your coffee. I know you Americans do like your coffee or your soda. And listen up because we got stuff to say. Welcome back to all our mamacitas who've been here before, and a special welcome to any new mamacitas. You are very welcome. You're among friends. There's no judgment in this room. It's just about things I'm curious about that I go away, find more information so that I've got the answers to the questions that I had. And then I share the questions and the answers with you guys. That's all it is. I'm not an expert in anything. I'm just a lady with a brain and two eyes and the internet. So let's go. As I say, it's a little bit different today. It's not like the normal Monday explainer, and it's not going to be like the Thursday mamas meeting. It's just me. It's an emergency midday session, and it's for you specifically, as I say, if you live in California, because as we mentioned, today, right now, is primary day. You may have already voted. I don't know what time your polls open. Thank you, Laura. Big brain. Very big brain, very disorganized, messy big brain, but lots of brains in there doing their thing. Sometimes they let me in on what they're doing. Other times they just freestyle it, and that's fine. That's what we work with. So if you happen to be sitting in California wondering whether it matters or not, whether you vote, I want to have a proper conversation about that because it does matter. And I want to make sure that you have more information than you had when you started. Alrighty? I know, Laura, stop it. Gina's told you you'll be getting red lights aplenty if you don't stop commenting, naughty girl. Pull over if you need to comment. We need you. I need you especially for Thursday. It's just you and me on Thursday, mate. So Tracy drinks wine once a year when she goes on vacation and get together with friends they see just once a year. We're doing that at the end of the month. Tracy, please have a big drink for me. And Chris, our lovely resident artist, if you have not seen her beautiful, beautiful work, we have Chris Palomino. Please go follow her. She is an absolute staunch advocate for democracy, and she's a retired Disney illustrator, and she is just exquisite. Her artwork is beautiful, and she is just a very, very lovely human, and I consider her to be one of my salty sisters. And Chris, to let you know, we're doing an early one specifically for the California primaries. So you, lady, are somebody I was hoping would make it because you have a lot of experience. You have many years as a resident of the great state of California. And this is it's the usual. I'm going to give you the information that I found, but I'm hoping that we've got people like Chris, like our other Californians, Stacey, and any other Californians who are just going under the radar, who will have some great information to share. And you might hear it differently coming from your fellow Californians, because who am I? I'm just a one man show, one lady show in the UK. with not very much experience of anything. Well, lots of experience of stuff, but not much expertise in anything. And Chris, born and bred, 1 in 7 in captivity in California. And she is a lady in the autumn of her life. So she has many, 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 many years of observing the comings and goings of governors and state officials and all that good stuff. And she really is a fantastic advocate for democracy, as well as being an absolutely beautiful illustrator. So please, if you love art, if you love democracy, if you love art fighting for democracy, then please go and check out Chris Palomino on Substack. She is great. That's Palomino and Chris CRIS. If anybody is interested, she does some great tutorials as well that you can all be involved in. Just go have a look. And Chris points out, because I'm not going to declare another lady's age, but she's almost 3/4 of a goddamn century of experience. So this lady knows, and she will correct me if I go wrong anywhere. Welcome, Anne. Come in. We're just kicking off. So let's start with the thing you absolutely need to understand before anything else. Part 1, the system, why your vote works differently today. So California uses what's called a top 2 primary, sometimes referred to as a jungle primary, quite accurately, I think, because it's a free-for-all. So unlike in other states where you have a Republican primary and a Democrat primary, that's not how it is in California. Every candidate from every party appears on the same ballot. Every voter, regardless of their registration, can vote for any of them. And at the end of today, the 2 candidates with the most votes, just 2, will go through to the November general election. That's it. That's all. It's that simple. Winners take all kind of thing. And this is why it matters so much right now. And this might just be of interest to people who aren't in California, who just wonder what's going on there. UK, Europe, the world, the rest of the United States. Because personally, I find your federation, your federal system confusing because it's not one I'm used to. I try and think of your states more like individual EU countries and your federal government as like the EU itself. So you're self-governing, except in matters which affect you as a whole, kind of thing. And primaries differ just like law enforcement and education and health and all those other good things. So why it matters. There are 61 candidates on the ballot for governor today. Most of them are not serious contenders, but several of them are. Amy, we have our wonderful, unpaid, unofficial, but very much loved admin, Amy. Please, everyone, welcome admin Amy to the chat, another of the Salty Sisters. And or Salty Siblings, because you're all welcome. But we don't just limit on any grounds: race, age, color, creed, religion, sex, gender, sexual orientation. You are all welcome in this space, and we hope to keep it safe. Welcome, Sky Blue Eyes too. So 61 candidates on the ballot. You can pick any of them if you're in California. Several of the most serious ones happen to be Democrats. And if you're a Democrat, that's important. The problem with that is while you have a lot of choice, which is great, we love choice, 8 or 9 credible Democrat candidates are going to have to share the Democratic vote, whereas there are only 2 Republicans doing the same on that side. Then you look at the independents who might be, tempting if you're not enjoying the way things are going in California under a Democrat. So that vote might end up being very diluted. And that is going to play very much into the hands of the Republicans, the two Republicans. If they are what you're looking for, then that is great. You probably do not have to listen to me. I mean, you don't have to listen to me anyway, but you know all you need to know. Go cast your vote. Your guy's really good chance. If you're not looking for a Republican governor, then stick around and see if we can help you at all. Gina asks Chris, does California have RCV? I do not know what RCV is, so hopefully Chris or Stacey will be able to answer that, or anybody else who knows what RCV is or knows the state of play in California. Feel free to answer that in the chat. And rank choice voting. Yeah, we call it something different in the UK, but it is what it says, isn't it? You basically you can choose more than one person. In the UK for our local elections, for the mayor, I think it's like top three, and then they split them, and the next closest they go on. And also with our leadership contests for the political parties in the UK, we do similar. So you have a few in the mix, and then some get knocked out, and then you all get to vote again on the ones that are remaining. So that would be we just chose one. What did we just choose, Chris? Chris will let us know. So let's have a look at the maths. The polls going into today show Democrat Xavier Becerra. Please let me know if I've mispronounced anything. I will do my best, and I will probably attempt just to pronounce things phonetically as I see them. So Democrat Xavier Becerra is leading at around 25%. Republican Steve Hilton was sitting at around 20 to 21%. And then Tom Steyer, Chad Bianco, and Katie Porter were all clustered in the low to mid teens, which means any one of them could go through or none of them, basically. So what the I fell into the Republican trap there. What the Democratic Party has been quietly terrified about for months is the scenario where just two Republicans advance to November in one of the formerly bluest states in America. It's not fantasy. Becerra, Becerra. Thank you, Chris. Chris is also our native Latina, and helps me with my Spanish, which I'm trying to learn. Oh my God. Talking of which, I had the weirdest dream. I was dating Jim Acosta last night. I have no idea. I mean, you know, if he turned up on the doorstep, I'd give him at least a first date, but I'm pretty sure he's happily married. So don't know where that came from, but yeah, nice man. Treated me well for the few minutes that I was dreaming about him. Nothing naughty, very wholesome. Anyway, yeah, bizarre. That's where my brain goes. And I blame you all, because if it wasn't for you all, I wouldn't be doing this, and I wouldn't be quite so obsessed with what's going on in the United States. But, you know, it was a pleasant enough dream. No harm. I apologize to his wife and family. But, you know, weird. Can't control this. Can't control this when I'm conscious most of the time. So when I'm unconscious, no chance. So why this isn't fantasy, this fear of it being a Republican v Republican vote in November. It very nearly happened once before in 2012. They divorced in 2017. Awesome. Jim, if you're watching, hi. Anyway, sorry. This is not a dating video. This is not some weird kind of Tinder. This is supposed to be professional and grown up and focused. But yeah, Jim, hi. Anyway, enough of me. Sorry. That looked really desperate. Jim, I'm not desperate. We're all good. So the structural conditions for the same thing to happen today in California are real. California has not elected a Republican governor since 2006, and I expect you remember him. But the mathematics of a fragmented primary can do things that a general election would not. Things go weird in a primary. It's like the local elections in the UK, where we think reform is a good idea. If you want to know why it's not, check out our Mama's meeting from a little while ago. Oh, Tracy's a Scott MacFarlane fan. Now, I'll be fair here. I would not kick Scott out of bed. In fact, I would just close my eyes and let him talk to me because that is one seriously beautiful voice. Not that there's anything wrong with the boat. That's Cockney rhyming slang for face, boat race face. Yeah, he's a lovely looking chap. Chris fell asleep watching Waj and the Dre dossier. Heard all of it, but it was in a dream. Had to leave when they were and walk through a park to go to dinner. Oh, with Waj. Oh, you lucky woman. I Waj again. The more the merrier. He's a lovely gentleman. Ended up on a bluff that was high up, and Waj was going, "Go ahead." Oh my God! He was trying to get you all to jump off. I hope it was, like into beautiful clear blue waters and not just to your doom. Sorry, we digress. I had a feeling we might today because this is a group chat. We're here to help each other. So, if you are a California progressive watching this and you haven't voted yet, I would like you to understand this is not the time to make a protest vote. It's also, unfortunately, not the time to vote for your personal favorite if your personal favorite is polling at around 4%. Today is the day to be strategic. Think about who can actually get through, because who gets through today determines what the November choice even looks like. And I can speak on this because I joined a group called the Movement Forward, and we were one of many groups who were trying to help people in the UK vote tactically so that their more left-leaning vote wasn't split and diluted, and we had another 5 years of the appalling, destructive Tory government that we'd ended up with. And I'm not saying all Tory governments are appalling. I am not saying all conservatives, all right-leaning people are bad or inherently have got it wrong. I don't know. I just know where my heart leans. But in the UK, our right-leaning government had become really abusive and destructive and just in it for themselves. And we needed to get that gone. Oh, Chris. Apparently, Waj was also saying in Chris's dream, who set up surveillance at Epstein's place? The Israelis? Well, I think we've all got opinions on that. And, at the risk of getting sued or targeted by the pro-Israel lobby, I couldn't possibly say. So let's have a look at a lesson from the past, shall we? The Arnold lesson. And I would really love to hear from Stacey and Chris what it was like for them having superstar Arnold Schwarzenegger as their governor for, I believe it was 7 years. And our cards on the table. I've been an Arnold Schwarzenegger fan since way back in his Pumping Iron days. I am just fully paid up. Adore the man. Adore him as an actor. Sorry, if it was Arnold or Jim, I'd be torn, quite frankly. I mean, Arnold, probably old enough to be my dad, but, Anyway, so let me tell you a story because I think it's the most useful thing I can offer you today as a frame for what's happening in California politics right now. Please feel free to keep going in the chat if you've got something that you want to add, something you want to correct, an opinion you want to share. This is for everybody today. There's only a few of us here. So if you can hit the likes, that is really helpful, and share it with anybody else you think might find it useful. So in 2003, I have it on good authority that California was in a bit of chaos. There was an energy crisis, a recession, and a deeply unpopular governor called Gray Davis. The public was furious, and in that fury, they did something extraordinary. They recalled their governor mid-term, which California law actually allows for, and they replaced him with Arnie. I mean, we'd had Ronald Reagan by that stage, so it wasn't completely out of left field. Oh, and Chris has got a link in the chat. Amy will be our admin on everything, and she will keep an eye on what's going on in the chat. So if there are any useful links that Amy spots, she will let me know, and I will post them with the video when it goes live. But if you want more information about Epstein's Israeli links or things going on in the Epstein universe with an Israeli feel, Chris has put a link to Al Jazeera, which I find a really useful source for the presentation of facts. They are state sponsored in the Middle East, so they do have political leanings. I think it's hard for anybody not to. I have political leanings, but I still try to bring you the facts. Okay. So, Arnold Schwarzenegger. I don't think he needs a lot of introduction, does he? The Terminator, Mr. Universe, a man with no political experience whatsoever. And Chris mentions how Reagan lived and worked in California. And from my research, it would appear that Reagan did have some sort of a political epiphany, a kind of come to politics moment. So he maybe wasn't as ridiculous a choice as other presidents maybe since then have been. But that is just my opinion, allegedly. Okay. So, no political experience whatsoever, announced his candidacy on the Tonight Show, which I guess was the then version of Twitter, and campaigned to the sound of "We're not gonna take it," which I'm not familiar with. If anybody knows that particular tune, let me know who performed it. But yeah, that was their campaign song, "We're not gonna take it." And he was one of 135 candidates on the ballot. One of the other 135, I'm not making this up, was an adult film star. Which is funny, isn't it? Because you've sort of got similar in the White House, allegedly, in my opinion, according to Stormy Daniels. I'll leave it there. Here's the thing. Arnie won, as you probably know. He got 48.6% of the vote. Was it Ron Jeremy? Oh my God, even I know him, and porn's not my thing. And it's totally fine if it is your thing. I just don't get it. It does nothing for me. But I know Ron Jeremy. He's dark haired. He's got a little tash, hasn't he? Not that guy. That he's very different. He wasn't in porn. He just, ran the Third Reich. Different person. Oh my God, showing my age. Yeah. I remember now you say it. Wow. How did he do? I wonder what he's doing now. Is he still alive? We don't know. So many questions. It's how my brain works. So the question that I want you to sit with, though, is not, was that mad electing Arnold Schwarzenegger? Because obviously it was a little bit on the unhinged spectrum. The question is, what happened next? Because the answer is complicated. And the complication is quite instructive. And all best wishes, paying my respects to the family of Ron Jeremy, who Gina believes has passed on. If he has, our condolences. If he hasn't, sorry, Ron. Just, nobody's watching. It's fine. You're fine. You carry on. So, what happened next? Hey, MJ, welcome. We're just having a little chat about California and trying to be helpful to anybody who is privileged enough to have a vote in the California primaries. So what happened next behind all the Hollywood glamour and the air guitar and the "I'll be back" jokes was that Schwarzenegger did something that most celebrity candidates do not do. He got serious. I tell you, from the UK, he looked like he was a grown-up in the room. But that's from the UK. We've got Stacey, we've got Chris in the chat who, were on the ground when it happened. We've got other Americans who were much closer to it than I was. So if you have a different experience of Arnold Schwarzenegger, movie star, Mr. Universe, as governor of California, share it with the whole class because we all want to learn. But from my research, Schwarzenegger assembled around 150 policy experts and economists who volunteered their time. Experts. Do you remember? Do you remember when we used to appreciate experts? Mad. Oh, Amy, our beautiful admin with the facts, says Ron Jeremy is still alive in a private residence under 24-hour care for severe dementia. So we wish you nothing but peace in the autumn of your life, Mr. Jeremy. It's just maybe a disappointment that other people who ran for office with severe dementia aren't under 24-hour care. Okay, just saying. That could apply to any political leaders in any country who may be exhibiting signs of dementia and not doing a terribly good job, in my opinion, allegedly. Just going to leave it at that. So yes, Ron Jeremy, we wish you nothing but good things. You look after yourself and your family as best you can, because my grandmother had dementia and it's horrible. It's horrible for the family. It's frightening for the individual, and we can just hope that he's comfortable and still living the best life he possibly can. But probably good that he wasn't governor of California. Just saying, just my opinion, and we're all allowed to have one. So, the experts. These experts, they all came over to Arnie's house, had lunch with him, and walked him through the whole fiscal picture of California in detail. By the end of his campaign, he was delivering a full digital presentation of exactly which executive orders he planned to issue on day one. He'd done the homework, folks, and we like that. I haven't always been a voice on Tinternet, a podcaster, a concrete, easy for me to say, a content creator, whatever you like to call me. But I did some homework. I did the legwork. I come with receipts. And it sounds like that's what Arnold Schwarzenegger did as governor. So a little bit different from, say, I don't know, Spencer Pratt. Just throwing that name out there, in my opinion, allegedly. Exactly, MJ. That's why we are all gathered here. We're having a head-to-head, a mama's meeting on the California primaries to see if we can be of any help and guidance so that California don't end up in a situation where they've got an absolute imbecile, narcissist, egomaniac, racist running their state, because that can happen, allegedly, in my opinion. That can even happen at a countrywide level. Just saying. So, Arnold's record, when you look at it honestly, it's genuinely mixed rather than simply disastrous. So that's, well, mixed is better than disastrous. Excuse me one moment, ladies and gentlemen. Laura calls me a tenacious genius, which is very kind of her. Tenacious, absolutely. Genius, yes, officially documented. I am a member of Mensa. I passed their entrance exam. I have a genius IQ, but I can be dumb as fuck as well. And my darling salty sisters will tell you all about it if you need to know. But I've got a big heart and an inquiring mind, and I think they're really good things to have. So, let's have a look at Arnie's record, his mixed record. He passed the toughest auto emissions law in the country. Back when we had political leaders who believed that climate change was real. He launched a $42 billion public works program. He created a redistricting commission. He won re-election in a landslide sorry, I'm drinking burp juice, in 2006 after pivoting hard on climate change. His appointments were the most diverse in California history, with over 41% going to women. These are good things. We want to see more of this. But, and there's also always a but, and we bring all the receipts, not just the ones we like to look at. He also failed on the thing that he actually campaigned on, which was fixing California's budget. Oh, show us your hair when you finish. Laura's just leaving us for a minute. She's going in for a hair color. Say hi to your hairstyle if it's the lovely lady that you introduced me to last time. She's lovely. Anyone, if you need hair tips for where to go in Alabama, Laura's your gal. She's got a lovely lady who does her. And yes, we'll see you shortly when you're done and looking beautiful, Laura. So back to Arnie. What did he fail on? He promised to fix California's budget. The money always comes back to the money. He left office, unfortunately, with a state in a worse financial position than he found it. That is not fixing a budget. In 2005, voters rejected all 4 of his major ballot measures in a statewide special election. His final years, unfortunately, were marked by record low approval ratings and a fiscal emergency triggered by the recession. And after he left office, it emerged that he'd fathered a child outside of his marriage and kept it a secret through both of his terms. That's got nothing to do with governance, but obviously it's a question mark over his character, and it's important to some people. And for those people, they're absolutely entitled to vote on whatever issues are important to them. You want to know who your representatives are. You want to know the content of their character, as a very, very wise man once said. So, what does Schwarzenegger and the Schwarzenegger experiment teach us? Well, it teaches us that a celebrity outsider is not automatically disqualified. So I'm not here just to piss on Spencer Pratt's chips. I just want people, if they are going to vote for a reality TV star, to do it with their eyes open. Is that okay? Seems fair, right? I think so. And if you don't like it, you can switch off. And that's not me saying fuck off. It's saying if I'm not providing content you enjoy, please, or tell me, absolutely. Or just, find content that you do enjoy, because this is your life. You only get one. And my beautiful older son pointed something out to me today, which was really profound, that time is probably our most precious resource because it's the only one we can't get back. Once time is spent, it's gone. So let's use it wisely. And if you're enjoying spending time with us in our little chat group here, then it is so, so lovely to have you. If you're not, I bet you've got a list of a gazillion things that maybe would be better things to do with your time, or just important and they need to get done. So it's all good. If you're here, thank you so much. If you need to go, I'll see you next time, or not. Up to you. Thank you, MJ. MJ likes it here. I like it here too. And I'm really grateful to all of you for that. I'm not providing a service as much as providing some sort of healing to my soul. You're a real community, and I am so grateful for that. Thank you. So, Arnold teaches us that fame and charisma and genuine voter anger can carry someone into the most powerful office one of the most powerful offices in the country. We know that. Yes, sorry, Amy, I didn't tell the admin that we were going live. She's just that freaking awesome that she shows up. Thank you, Amy, who has a job and responsibilities and all that good stuff, but still shows up to help us. I like that you like listening while you clean, Sky Blue Eyes. You're not the only one. And I appreciate all you people listening while you clean, whistling while you work, and listening while you clean. Yeah, I do love a bit of Snow White. But I will get on to Disney one day. I blame Disney for all my unrealistic expectations. That's all I'm saying. I'm just going to leave that there. I've since started to take accountability for some of the decisions I make, but Disney, you made me think I could be a princess and get Prince Charming and live happily ever after, and apparently not necessarily so. But that's fine. That's fine. We manage with what we've got. So back to Arnold. The Arnold lesson also teaches us, though, that what separates a celebrity candidate who does real good from one who does real harm, Trump, allegedly, in my opinion, is exactly one thing: preparation. Intellectual seriousness, if you like, a willingness to stop the performing and start governing. WWF or WWE, whatever it's called nowadays, is great as entertainment. I would not want any of them running my country. You know, everything has its place. And it might be that some of your elected officials have talents better used elsewhere and not necessarily related to what I've just said. But I personally feel like there was an opportunity missed when a certain Donald J. Trump wasn't steered into an advertising career, because I think he's very skilled at marketing, selling, getting people engaged. I think his track record would show that real estate and business, not necessarily as well qualified. Governance, I imagine there must be still members of the jury that are out, but most of us, we just feel like somebody else could do better. And that is allegedly in my opinion. So, Arnold Schwarzenegger knew what he didn't know. He found people who knew more than him, and he listened to them, not to sycophants, not to toadies, to people with the expertise. Hold that thought, because we're going to come back to it. But what I'd really like to do, I'd like to visit the gentleman who prompted me to act today and to leave my poor child upstairs hiding in the bedroom, because he's like, no, it's not really my thing, mummy. I'm not interested in American politics. And that's fine. He doesn't have to be. Spencer Pratt and the Spencer Pratt phenomenon. Now, if you are not familiar with Spencer Pratt, he apparently, I didn't see it, I have it on good authority though, the internet, was the villain of a reality television program called The Hills in the mid-noughties. He became known for being manipulative, for stirring up drama, and for reinventing him eventually. He reinvented himself as what he calls Pratt Daddy, selling crystals online. Now, I don't mind a crystal. I like a crystal. If it's a nice crystal and it's reasonably priced, then all power to you, Spencer. Might have been a lane you should have stayed in. I don't know. We'll come to it. And Gina, oh, Gina, I love you for that. Gina points out that Pratt is in fact a British term. And I was going to ask you all, is it an American term too? Because at the moment, and I've said this before, you have a president who is named after British slang for a fart, a bottom burp, flatulence, passing wind to Trump is quite universally known in the UK as that process by which you remove some excess gas from your bowels through your rectum. Similarly, a prat is a stupid person, an idiot, an imbecile, a fool, a not very nice way to call somebody who is just behaving really rather stupidly. So please, America, stop electing prats and trumps, idiots and farts. You need real people. Saying that though, hold my hand up, we elected a Johnson. And while that didn't mean much in the UK, I'm pretty sure a Johnson is a thing in the US that you probably don't want running your country. And I will leave it at that because it's the middle of the day and we're not getting down and dirty. Oh, Pratt in the US, according to admin Amy, is usually referring to the male defining anatomy. Bit like a Johnson, I'm guessing. Why do we do this? I would change my name. I really would. I mean, my surname is just unpronounceable. I've grown up my whole life with it with a surname that people look at and they're like, it's one syllable, and they don't know how to pronounce it, which is fine. It's fine, but it doesn't mean something offensive in any language. So, I'll live with it. But if it was, I don't know. If I was going to run for office where people were going to be mean, it might be something I looked at. That's all. Maybe I'm just a bit shallow. But anyway, Spencer Pratt with two T's. The Hills, villain, manipulative, reinvention. And now, for your pleasure, ladies and gentlemen of California and around, in January 2025, a terrible thing happened to many Californians. He had a home in the Pacific Palisades and it was completely destroyed by the California wildfires. You can imagine how that might stir him up. And I would just like to welcome Evie Bateman to the chat. Evie is a wonderful writer and has some fantastic lives. I first came across her on the Natasha Kay show. That's Truth She Wrote, also a phenomenal creator. And Evie is a white woman who helped me to come to terms and to understand my inherent racism and to try and address it, look at it without shame and move on so that I can be a better ally to Black and brown people, which is what I really want to do. And Evie's got some work up recently, which has really hit a nerve with me about somebody in the political arena and also in the content creation arena who I have had concerns about. And so I would just like to direct you to Evie's work and have a look, have a listen, have a read. If you don't agree, it's totally fine not to say anything, just to move on to somebody that you prefer. Okay, just saying. Don't have to go off on one because you don't like somebody's content. That's what the off button is for. Got it? Cool. Let's carry on. So back to the California wildfires and Spencer Pratt. So Spencer, whereabouts in the US are you, Evie? If you could just give us a general location, that would be awesome. So, Spencer. He is one of those running for mayor of Los Angeles, and he's not doing badly. He has been polling in a competitive position for second place behind the incumbent mayor, Karen Bass. Evie's North Texas. Awesome. We've got a few Texans in the chat. So this is not directly affecting you, Evie, but I know you will be watching it closely. So I will link to all these awesome people that I've mentioned in the chat because they really are fantastic. We've got great content creators. We've got my wonderful team who I couldn't do this without, and they produce their own awesome work. So we very much believe in building each other up, not tearing each other people down. Tearing each other people? What's each other people? tearing each other down. That's not helpful. It's not a zero-sum game. Like I said yesterday in our live of last night about voting rights, giving other people who don't have the same rights as you've got doesn't take anything away from you. Okay? Just remember that. Maybe think about how you can help to make life nice and bearable. And we only get one. And if we could help each other, then I just feel like that might create a more healthy environment for us all to live in. And Gina mentioned that Rachel Maddow, I presume, will be on the Tonight Show, be on tonight, sorry, on MS Now with the bunch. I don't know who the bunch is. Gina will probably tell us. MJ points out that what I'm talking about is human rights. And we're all human. So, do you know, that seems to be the qualifying factor. If you're a human, you qualify for human rights. That's just my thinking. Call me a liberal, lefty, woke, lunatic if you want to. That's fine. I am 50 years old. There is a lot that I've been called in my life, and I very much doubt you can call me worse. I was an active alcoholic for 10 years. Just saying. So, back to Spencer. Oh, they're covering the primary. Awesome. So Rachel Maddow, what's not to like? If you don't like her, don't watch her. But MS Now, Rachel Maddow, somebody put in the chat some times. Eastern time would be great. And then you can all figure it out. Oh, 10 o'clock. Ari, Velshi, Lawrence, and Jen. Love all of those, Chris says. 10 o'clock, Nicole Wallace, Lawrence O'Donnell, Jen Psaki, Simone Sansers, Michael Steele, Ariel Melba, and Chris Hayes, is that? 10 p.m. Eastern. So you can all adjust to that. Stephanie Rule, we like Stephanie Rule. She's awesome. I like her. In fact, I really do enjoy Sanders. I don't know who Sanders is. I really do enjoy MS Now. I have to say, I'm lucky I can access it in the UK. Amy says, call me whatever you like. I'll still love you the same. And absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I'm me and I'm all right being me with all my imperfections now. So just you be all right being you, okay? You make your decisions with the information, the best information that you've got, and that is the best you can do. Simone Sanders. So that's who to watch on MS Now if that's what you enjoy. And it will be really interesting. I will be watching it. It will be the middle of the night for me, but I will absolutely be watching it to see what happens because this is important. It is a massive budget in California. They have massive influence. And I just want Californians to get what they're paying for. I can't do anything about it. I can just tell you stuff. And then you go and do the hard work, ladies and gentlemen. So back to Spencer. As you would imagine, his campaign is built on genuine grief and real anger. Unfortunately, it's also built on AI-generated advertising that has at one point depicted him as Batman. Important to say, Spencer Pratt and his team are not behind, according to them, are not behind the AI-generated advertising. They just repost, retweet, endorse these adverts. So make of that what you will. There's no judgment on that. You've got to have a campaign. You need people to know what you stand for. He has, though, accused Mayor Bass of being, and I'm quoting here, quote, negligent and corrupt. He alleges that Mayor Bass covered up failures in the wildfire response using a celebrity crisis PR firm and positioned himself as the only person willing to say what everyone is thinking. And I think if you are going to go out on that limb and claim to be saying what everyone is thinking, then I'm going to treat you with a little bit of skepticism because in my 50 years, and a lot of you have more years on me, I've never found a topic that everyone has thought the same on. Literally nothing. Because there'll always be arseholes out there, and arseholes tend to have very different opinions on subjects that we might think we all agree on. So, note of caution, Spencer thinks he's speaking for everybody. Might be speaking for you, but that's all you need to know. Is he speaking for you? Doesn't matter about everybody. Is he speaking for you? So, I want to be careful here because some of what Spencer Pratt is saying about the wildfire response deserves scrutiny and accountability. Those are legitimate questions. 12 people died. People lost everything. Asking hard questions about whether the city's emergency response failed is not only reasonable, it is necessary. And we have Chris joining the chat as well, everybody. Another fantastic content creator with an awesome daughter who I think is poised for politics. Junior resists, Katie resists, is incredible and awesome. And Chris, I will be joining later on in this week. So if you're around Thursday, I will be joining Chris and very much looking forward to it. But please, if you want to check out content from people with similar perspectives, Chris Resists is another great way you can go. And also one of the Salty Siblings over on our Discord server. And Amy, our beautiful admin, will pop a link to the Discord server. It's just a safe space where we can go and chat outside of office hours, if you get what I mean. All right. And Karma, welcome. Hey, Karma. Lovely to have you here. It's so nice. We've got some of the OGs in the crowd today and also some new awesome content creators. And I really thank you all for that. So back to Chris Pratt and his things. There is a significant difference between asking the questions and being qualified to run the second largest city in America. Losing your home in a disaster is awful. It's not a qualification for public office, though. It's a trauma. The Discord server details are in the chat if you want somewhere to go where you can catch us offline. Well, I mean, we're still online, but you know what I mean. It's a legitimate source of anger, but anger is not a policy platform and grief is not a manifesto. Just saying, okay? What the Spencer Pratt phenomenon may tell us, though, is this. When institutions fail people, people stop trusting institutions. When people think the whole of Washington is corrupt and that DC, and then somebody pops up pledging to drain the swamp, that can really talk to people. Whether they're going to or not, that's, they have to be judged on their own records. So when people stop trusting institutions, they become vulnerable to anyone who speaks their anger back to them in their language fluently, regardless of whether that person has actually got any idea how they're going to fix anything. Yes, we're early today, Karma. It's a California primary special because I got all worked up in the car driving my kid back from school and felt like I just had stuff to say about it and stuff to learn about it. So I'm listening. We have seen this movie before. We've seen it at federal level. We've seen what happens when you hand enormous institutional power to someone whose primary qualification is that they are famous and they are angry. Hey, Michelle. It does not end well for the people who were angry in the first place and bought what was being aggressively sold to them. The question I think you need to ask of any insurgent celebrity candidate is not, do they have a point? Because they probably do. They may well. The question should be, though, maybe, what do they actually plan to do? specifically? And do they have any idea how the machinery of government works? And if the answer to that is experts and advisors, great. If the answer to that is Batman and AI generated ads, that also tells you something. As I said, we're not here to give judgment, we're here to give receipts. So you can decide. You're smart people. You just want people to tell you the truth so that you can go out and do the best for you and yours to provide an environment that you can all survive and thrive in. And I just feel, looking on from the UK, that you don't have that for a lot of people today. And yes, MJ, we do. We have Stacey. I don't know if she's still with us. And we had Chris, who is still with us, from what I can tell from the chat. Chris without the H, Lady Chris, not Boy Chris, who's not, I don't think, from California. But anybody else who is from California who hasn't said hi in the chat, please say hi. So let's have a look at the candidates, because that's the real meat of today. What do they actually stand for? Let's have a look at who they are and what I think you might need to know. Stacey's still here. Xavier Becerra, whose name I have on expert authority how to pronounce now, because I got it wrong. First of all, thank you, Chris, for being my linguistics expert on all things Espanol. He's a Democrat. He's the current forerunner. Stacey's listening while working from home. Well, we really appreciate that. Thank you, Stacey. Becerra is 67 years old. He's a Sacramento native and the son of two immigrants, a construction worker and a clerical worker. He is a Stanford Law graduate. He served in the California State Assembly, then in the US House of Representatives for over 2 decades, then as California's Attorney General, then as Joe Biden's Secretary of Health and Human Services, where he oversaw the COVID vaccine rollout and expanded health coverage to over 24 million Americans. I think that's a good thing. You know, I think that's a good thing. I was a COVID vaccinator in the UK. If you don't agree with those things, if you don't think he did a good job, that's also absolutely fine. We're just giving you the information. So this is not a man who lacks experience. He is the definition of a career public servant. His platform centers on being the person who can fight Trump from day one, and he has the receipts. As Attorney General, he personally led California's lawsuits against the first Trump administration, and he won many of them. His campaign slogan is essentially, "I don't just complain about Trump, I beat him." And I like that. On policy, he wants to declare a state of emergency to freeze utility and insurance rates for Californians, which is significant because energy bills and insurance costs are genuinely crippling people. He is open to revising California's climate goals where they push up fuel costs for working and middle-class families. Welcome, Wisconsin Zebra. Which is a centrist move that will annoy the progressives. I get that. And if that's really important to you, then maybe he's not your guy. He does want to build more affordable housing and protect access to abortion, the ballot, and civil rights. They are things that are important to me. I'm not American. I'm not Californian. It doesn't matter whether they're important to me or not. Karma has an opinion that a lot of you may share. In Karma's opinion, almost 40 years in government, so they speak from a perspective of experience and some expertise. It's a huge turnoff for them these days. Too much corruption going around in those with history in the government. And I don't think that feeling, that opinion is unique. I think there will be a lot of people who are really sick to the back teeth of the the institutions, the ingrained, the powers that be, the people who have been doing it all forever badly. Evie puts it beautifully. Dinosaurs out, new birds in. And I think there's a lot of mileage to that too. Evie also suggests that maybe moving to a parliament instead of the two-party system would provide a richer ground for selecting people to move forward into these positions. And as somebody who comes from a parliamentary democracy, I think there is a lot of truth to that. But just know what people are standing for. They don't have to be career politicians necessarily. Our Arnold Schwarzenegger example shows that. But there are risks. Our Arnold Schwarzenegger example shows that. Okay. Vulnerabilities for Becerra. Some progressives don't trust him because of scrutiny over his record, including criticisms of how migrant children were treated in HHS custody, and I think that is a real concern. He's the establishment candidate, which in this political movement, as we've just been discussing, it's not always an asset. You know, he may have had his chance. And what did you do for us? Wisconsin Zebra, I think, hits the nail on the head again. The hard part is knowing that whether they're lying or whether you can believe what they say. And that's the thing that grinds my gears. And I know it's something that I have to let go of to some extent because, well, I was going to say nobody stands up and tells you they're lying. I think we know that's not true. I think we've all seen certain famous, successful, in quotes, liars who will just stand up there and say the shit that people want to hear. Remember, angry people sometimes need a reason to hate. They need permission to hate. And if you get somebody standing for high office that is effectively telling you who to hate, telling you who to be angry with, and giving you permission to do it, that's really attractive. I understand that. Try to resist the temptation because it's just not healthy for a functioning democracy. And we want to look after each other. So, Katie Porter. She is familiar to me. As you know, I've got eyes on and off what's going on in the United States. I had a few years off when Biden was in because I just felt like there were grown-ups back in charge. Whether he did a good job or not, whether you agree with his policies or not, that's fine. That's a debate for another day. But I didn't have the same visceral fear that I've had for Trump's 2 terms. And that is just my feeling, just my opinion. Katie Porter, I found her presentations in Congress extremely informative, well-researched. The woman has clearly got a brain, knows how to articulate herself, but there are also problems with her. So let's have a look. She is the Democrat progressive challenger. She's 42. She's a UC Irvine law professor turned congresswoman who became nationally famous, internationally famous, dare I add, for standing in congressional hearings with a whiteboard doing live maths on corporate executives to show them exactly how their companies were exploiting people. And we applaud that. It's genuinely one of the more entertaining forms of political accountability I have ever seen. And Gina puts it beautifully. She's awesome, but she blew it. So what happened? She is a single mother of 3. She drove a minivan with nearly 200,000 miles on it while serving in Congress. She is, to use the technical term, not a vibes candidate. She's a policy candidate. Wisconsin Zebra says that one thing they definitely feel is the GQCP has held America down over many, many decades. And I'm sure there's a lot of people who share that. Evie says the entire agenda of white supremacist confederacy can be explained in that, latching on to that rage and anger and capitalizing off it. Establishment democratic white supremacists latch onto people's empathy while they initiate the grift. And we both know of at least one example of where that is happening, even if that particular candidate may be calling themselves independent. They are feeding off the trauma of more progressive voters and making a buck or two. And I don't like it. I don't like that. It's not okay. It's not fair. And also targeting and bullying other people who you disagree with is absolutely, you all know my feelings on that. I will not stand for it. I will call it out. Stop it. It's not okay. Anyway, back in my box. So back to Katie. So her platform's very aggressively affordability focused. She's the only top candidate who has made free childcare a standalone proposal. She wants tuition-free college at state universities. She wants to eliminate state income tax for families earning under $100,000. And she says she'd pay for all of this by requiring corporations to pay a proportionally higher tax rate in their earning years, the same way working families do. She has refused to take any corporate PAC money, which I absolutely am in support of, my personal position. That's not nothing in California politics. I'm sure I don't need to tell you that. She's earned every major editorial board endorsement in the race so far, which tells you something about how seriously the political press takes her. That might be a good thing. It may not. And absolutely, Evie is a girl after my own heart. Information should never be paywalled. Education should be free. As somebody lives in a country where education is free, but you also have the option to pay for, and I was also a product of state and private education. So I've seen the benefits of both. I have my children. My oldest child is through school. He went through state school the whole way. My youngest child, he's still in school and he is in state schools. Private schools aren't financially an option for me. So maybe that makes me more keen to promote everybody having access to a good education for free. Or maybe it's just that that's what feels right. Just saying. So, what are Katie Porter's vulnerabilities? And these have been very widely publicized. She has had some public moments that critics describe as temperament issues. And I think when your temperament affects the people around you, that is an issue. She is running in a very crowded field and has been polling in the mid-teens, which means she needs today to go well. She came into this race with a national profile but has struggled to convert that into any kind of California-wide dominance. Love that, Karma. As Danielle Moody says, critical thinking dies behind a paywall. Too true. Because we need paid subscribers to keep going, I try and put extra content that isn't taking away from anything for my paid subscribers so that you're getting something for your money. But the information, the facts, the data, no, never, won't do it. Just saying. Also, there was somebody on Don Lemon's show yesterday who she was a white woman and she was talking really powerfully about how revolutions happen. And her name will come back to me. And if it doesn't, I will put it in the chat. It's completely gone. Barbara, maybe? Barbara something? I think she had the same name as somebody else famous. but with a middle initial to differentiate herself. If anybody saw Don Lemon live at 5 yesterday and they happen to know who this lady is who's written the book on revolutions in democracies, please stick it in the chat, because my brain, it just there's like a family of fruit flies in there, and they're just fluttering around, being attracted to the latest shiny object. Oh no, not Ruth. But that's another recommendation that Karma's put in the chat there. Absolutely. So shall we have a quick look at the other candidates? We've got Tom Steyer. He's a Democrat, progressive billionaire. He's not complicated, and I think it's worth being honest about that rather than pretending, isn't it? Is he he's not the English guy, is he? There's an English guy running. No, he's a I'm not sure. I will come back to who the lady on Don Lemon's Live at 5 was, and if I don't remember it in the chat, I will add it when the video posts, because I now follow her. If you look at who I follow on Substack, I am following her. And I can't remember what her organization was either, so that's of no help. Sorry, I'm menopausal. I do my best. So, Tom Steyer, billionaire. He made his money in hedge fund management. Then he became one of the biggest donors to the democratic and progressive causes in the country. Spent enormous sums on climate advocacy, so that's a good thing in my opinion. He chaired California's COVID Economic Recovery Task Force. That's a good thing in my opinion. And ran for president in 2020, as Gina just mentioned in the chat, before dropping out after South Carolina. His campaign platform is progressive. Lower energy bills, close corporate tax loopholes, build affordable housing, strong climate policy. Oh, God. I didn't know that, Evie. And worth mentioning, as Evie's mentioned in the chat, Tom Steyer made his millions in coal. So that's very interesting that if he's had this massive reverse ferret into climate policy. So interesting. Very interesting. Oh, it's Steve Hilton. Oh, he's coming up next. Yes, he's the English guy. Very odd. Seriously, people, just my opinion, but don't. All right, we'll get to him, but while we're here, don't. Okay? I know, Evie, I was just saying the same thing. That is a really unusual pivot. So I'm just going to leave that with you. Oh, yes. And Evie has done a really, really good piece. Go have a look if you're interested. Billionaires go where the money is, grifters. And we've already done a live focusing on the right-wing MAGA podcast class who've done massive reverse ferrets because they can smell which way the wind is blowing. So we've seen this. We've seen people who want money and influence will say what you want to hear. They will platform on anything like it's a popularity contest, because it is. Newsflash, sorry, it is. So let's continue. What's Tom Steyer saying he's for? Lower energy bills, closed corporate tax loopholes, build affordable housing, strong climate policy, proactive regulation of AI and technology to protect children, which yes to all those things. Evie recommends pull on the threads they're omitting. Look at what they're not saying. Really excellent advice. And also follow the money. We know where that goes. Steyer describes himself as a, quote, class traitor who will tax the wealthy, and he is technically one of the wealthy. So self-awareness, if nothing else? I don't know. Evie recommends Abel Chavez as the candidate you want, not Tom. And if you want to know more about that, please go and have a look at Evie's work, because she really has. We were talking earlier about doing the homework, and Evie is somebody who really does the homework, and she's got the experience and she talks with some authority. She talks in a way that makes me listen, and I appreciate that. So if you want to know more about one of the candidates that I've not covered here, Abel Chavez, please, please, please go and check out Evie's Substack. Walter, Nick, and Evie interviewed Abel Chavez, so you will be able to catch that video and see for yourself, because that's what we're all about. Bring you the stuff and credit you with the intelligence to be able to make up your own damn minds about what's important to you, not necessarily what's important to me, because I'm not living your life. And I know that. So, Abel Chavez, I have nothing on him. So please go and check out what Evie's got to say on this subject, because she's a voice worth listening to. If you've got the time, I think it's worth your trouble. Alrighty. So, Tom Steyer. He is probably the highest spending candidate in this race. Barbara F. Walter. Thank you, admin Amy. Barbara F. Walter. She has got really useful perspective on how revolutions are born. And she's studied revolutions across the world. So if you're interested in that, go and follow Barbara F. Walter on Substack. But if you want to know more about Abel Chavez, Evie's your gal. So back to Tom. If that's not something that you find attractive, throwing an awful lot of money at a campaign, then he may not be your guy. Socialists are endorsing him, which is either a sign of unusual coalition building or how really, really bizarre and unhinged this race has become, or possibly both. Could be both. Vulnerabilities for Tom. He obviously is that billionaire running on a fight the corporations platform. And that obviously is attractive. I think, as Evie has pointed out to us, and we're very grateful for that, also deserves a lot of scrutiny. Ask the questions, people. The answers are out there. If people are not saying the quiet parts out loud, we need to find out what those quiet parts are that they're not saying. That's all I'm saying. That's all we do here. So, his past investments, as we've already looked at, coal, for example, thank you, Evie, do not sit comfortably with his stated values. Climate change and questions about foreign holdings in his tax filings have attracted scrutiny. Thank you for joining us, Evie. It's been lovely having you. Please check out Evie Bateman on the Substack for some really great progressive thinking and some help and advice if you're looking at how you might want to vote. She's great. Thoroughly recommend her. Okay. Some voters, they're just never going to trust a man who's spent to get to where he is. Because, we've said it before, follow the money. So finally for today, no, not finally, penultimately for today, we've got one more after. We've got Steve Hilton, the Republican. Let's whiz through him because I don't think there's a lot of Republicans in the chat, but, we provide both sides to every story when there are two sides. Sometimes there aren't. So he is Trump's chosen candidate, so I really don't want to spend a lot of time on him. He is British, born in England, and that does not get him my vote. Moved to California in 2012 and became US citizen in 2021. Before California, he was senior advisor to Prime Minister David Cameron. Boo. I liked him. He sold us out when he got us out of Europe. Sorry, the man's an idiot. He was bullied into a position by Nigel Farage that we should never have been put in, and I don't appreciate what he did. I know Cameron wasn't for us leaving the EU. He was campaigning on staying in the EU, but to then fuck off when it all goes to shit, not cool, Davey. Not cool. Leave that there, because this is not about British politics or David Cameron. So he does this, Steve does have a genuine high level political experience, but not necessarily American political experience. He did then become a Fox News host and commentator, and you will have your opinions on whether that qualifies him. I certainly do. Let's just say experience has shown us that being a Fox News commentator or host does not necessarily mean you are qualified for high office. And I'm going to leave it there. That's all I'm saying. Janine Pirro. So, he got Trump's full endorsement in April, which Trump announced on Truth Social, because that's how we do politics these days, apparently. His campaign slogan is hilarious. Californiable. You're either going to love that or you're not. You know where I stand, probably. His promises. $3 gas. We've heard that before. Cutting electricity bills in half. We've heard that before. Making your first $100,000 tax-free, making it possible for ordinary Californians to buy a home. He frames himself as a populist who'll cut through Sacramento's dysfunction and ideological obsession. Sorry, I think some of Sacramento's ideological obsession is not necessarily a bad thing. But if you don't like it, he might be your guy. That's what I'm saying. What I want you to understand about Steve, if you might be considering him, as Chris points out in the chat, that's BS, which is fair, in my opinion. Steve Hilton is not a fool, though. He's not an amateur. He was a political strategist at the highest level of British government. He knows how institutions work. He's running a disciplined, coherent campaign. As Chris very, very wisely points out, he could say puppies for everyone, which is great and would probably get my vote. But if you have no plan for how to get my puppy to me and how to help me look after my puppy and care for my puppy and educate me on what puppies need, really, I shouldn't be voting for you. You shouldn't even be running. Fuck off and do something else with your millions, billions. Focus on this, if you will. His central argument is that California's problems come from its confrontational relationship with the federal government. I'm not sure I agree. You can decide. He argues that suing Trump has kept gas prices high. In my humble but educated opinion, I think foreign wars in an energy market where we're all competing, that might have kept prices high. Tariffs on the entire world that Americans actually end up paying for, that might have kept tariffs high. Just other ideas to throw out there that you might want to consider. But no, according to Steve Hilton, it's his confrontational relationship with the federal government. And quite frankly, that would disqualify him for me because he's clearly a moron, in my opinion, allegedly. But I don't lean in that direction, so I may be biased. I am biased. I admit it. You know that. You come here for the facts. And you might want to know what my opinion is, but really you just want the facts. Hilton says that a governor who has a good personal relationship with the president and his cabinet will get better outcomes for Californians. Yeah, some Californians, and we know who those Californians are. And quite frankly, in my humble opinion, they're already doing okay. Thank you very much. There are an awful lot of Californians, especially people in minority groups, who will not be served well by Hilton as governor. And I'm sorry if I'm getting energized and seeming a little bit partisan, but I fucking am. So, you don't have to be here. This argument from Hilton is worth having a look at. What it's actually saying, basically, is California should be more compliant with an administration that has been hostile to California's values on immigration, climate, healthcare, and civil rights. You might think that's progressive. You might think that's pragmatic. You might think it really needs a strong, hard look and a big no from you. That is your choice. You should know what he's actually proposing. He has Trump's endorsement. He has endorsements from Vivek Ramaswamy and the Charlie Kirk Brigade. That tells you a lot about the coalition that he's building and the direction that he would like to take California. And if that is what you want, then more power to you. I don't think it's a good idea, but that's just my personal opinion from my living room in London. So you do you, honey boo. Finally, Chad Bianco, Republican, law and order candidate, even less time spent here. He's the Riverside County Sheriff. He's been the Riverside County Sheriff for 3 decades, or in the office for 3 decades. He was elected to sheriff in 2018. He's running even further right than Hilton, which is quite a place to be. He's the tough on crime, close the border candidate. Trump's endorsement of Hilton, though, has effectively sidelined him in the final weeks of the race because Republican voters largely consolidated around, Hilton once Trump says he's your guy. He is polling below Hilton among Republicans, and his path to November requires the somewhat paradoxical strategy of Republicans splitting their vote almost exactly evenly between him and Hilton, which would require both of them to essentially tie, which doesn't really give you a direction for November. It's a very narrow needle to thread. In my personal opinion, I wouldn't touch either of them with a barge pole. There are lots and lots of really good writers and commentators here on Substack who will help you even more if you're looking to go out and cast your ballot today in the California primary. What are the questions I think you should be asking? Let's bring this all back together. I think there's one question underneath all of it that matters more than individual policy position, because as many people in the chat have already highlighted, we don't necessarily know that they're telling the truth. So what's the question you should be asking? What do you need a California governor to do right now? Sorry, just wetting my whistle while you have a think about that. The objective answer, I think, is this. You need someone who can protect California from the federal administration that has shown it's willing to use funding, regulation, and executive power as weapons against states that fight against it. You need someone who can manage a $300 billion budget with a projected $35 billion structural deficit because of policies coming out of Washington, D.C. You need someone who can respond to wildfires, protect healthcare access, and deal with a real housing crisis that is genuinely making the state unlivable for working people. That, in my opinion, is a very specific, very technical, very demanding list. It's not a list that can be fulfilled by anger or celebrity or AI-generated advertising. It's a list that requires experience, preparation, intellectual seriousness, and a willing to do unglamorous work. The Arnold Schwarzenegger lesson is this, in my opinion. It's possible for an outsider to rise to that. And listening to what Evie was saying, it might be that an outsider is what's required. We are not ruling that out, and we are not arguing against that per se. An outsider might be the answer, but only if they do the work. Only if they take the job seriously rather than the campaign. Only if they put down the air guitar and pick up the fiscal report. So, Amy would like to highlight the leading contenders as per NBC and CBS polling. We've got Xavier Becerra, Democrat. We've covered him. We've got HHS Secretary Tom Steyer, Democrat. We've covered him. Billionaire activist Steve Hilton, Republican, Trump-aligned commentator. Other major Democrats, Tony Atkins, Steve Klubeck, Katie Porter, Tony Thurmond, Antonio Villaraigosa, Betty Yee, Matt Mahan. Is Eric Swalwell in the race? I thought he pulled out because of, stuff. And also Abel, was it Abel Chavez? I'm sorry, I've forgotten. Let's quickly scroll back to Evie. Abel. So is Abel, does anybody know if Abel is an independent? I can't find it. Hopefully you were all following along and you are aware who Evie recommended. Because she's gone now and I can't find it in the chat. Yeah. Chris is saying that he thinks perhaps Eric Swalwell is not the right man for the job. He says it differently in the chat, and we don't mind that. So that's a little bit more information. You've got a lot of work to do, Californians. You're not going to get the answers from listening to a middle-aged British woman in her London living room. I know that. But I just wanted to speak on the subject because I care. So, who do you think can deliver on that list? Is it the outsider? It might be. See you later, MJ. Lovely having you here. You need someone who's going to do the work. You need someone who's going to do the job seriously. The Spencer Pratt question is, has he done any of that work? If the answer is no, then however legitimate his anger is, however real his grief is, whatever the genuine failures of government are that he's pointing to, I'm sorry, the answer is still no. And that is no disrespect to Spencer Pratt. I wouldn't know him if he turned up on my front doorstep right now with a big billboard saying, I am Spencer Pratt. I would still have to go and check. It's nothing to do with him. It's what he represents. And is that hard work and smart policies and experience and the smarts to get done what needs to be done? Or is he just a celebrity with a grievance? Californians, you have to decide. Just choose what you want as a governor and not maybe necessarily what you want as a performer. So I would like to thank you all so much for joining in, especially our Californians out there. It's been an absolute joy to have you with us. Thank you so much for all the contributions today in the chat. You've been absolutely phenomenal. I've learnt. I hope we've all learnt. And I hope that maybe anyone watching this in California today might be helped, might find it useful to show other people, or people in similar situations in other primaries, they might find it useful. So thank you for your lovely comments. Thank you for all the hearts. I've really enjoyed today. If you enjoyed it, pass it on. Especially to people who might be able to do something about it by way of voting. And that is genuinely the most useful thing you can do when this posts in the next few minutes. The show notes and receipts of everything we talked about will be on the link to this video, not just for the paid subscribers, because this is important. I want everybody to have the receipts. And I think we'll just close it there. Just have a moment. I will finish with the serenity prayer because it's one I know, it's one I use. We always finish with a prayer or a reflection if that's not your thing. Thank you so much for being here. See you on Thursday for the Mamas meeting with Mount Mama, the volcano for the villains. If you want somebody to be banished into Mount Mama, the naughty step of numpties, that's a UK term, the timeout for tyrants, then please just send me a message who you want to go in the volcano and why they've been particularly egregious this week. And also, if there's anybody you want freeing from the volcano who's redeemed themselves. I doubt it, but I'm all ears. So let me know. And for the closing prayer, for anybody who is staying for just a couple of moments of calm, please get yourself into a space where you're relaxed and you feel connected to whatever power works in your life. Take a deep breath and let all that tension and stress out and join me. Please grant us the serenity, God, to accept the things we cannot change, the courage to change the things that we can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Because it's really important that we do what we can and we let go of the things that are just out of our control at the moment. So help us, guide us, be with us, protect us, and amen. Thank you all so much for being here for this impromptu, urgent meeting. And I look forward to seeing you next time. But for now, ladies and gentlemen, the Midday Cafe is, I'm afraid, closed. See you all later. Take care.